On March 10th, 2025, a mod would be posted to CurseForge, which has since been removed, called The Broken Script. A mod that on the surface seemed like any other horror mod at the time, but little did people know that this would be one of the most expertly crafted Dimension mods and ARGs that would inspire countless other Dimension horror mods and set the standard for Minecraft horror as a whole. Today, we will be diving, bisecting, and most importantly, solving the broken script. Let's start at the beginning. In early 2018, a group of friends were playing on what we can assume to be an SMP, Survival Multiplayer World. The name of this SMP and the date of its creation is not known, but what's important are the two clans present on the server. The first clan consists of our main characters, Clan XX Ram to Die XX. The member of this clan are Ram to Die himself, Die XD412, and Wire4. For future reference, let's take a note of Ram to Die specifically. In a generated structure, we can find that Ram to Die is an updated alias, not his original name. His name was formerly 0 Null Void 0. Keep this detail in mind, it'll be important later. The second clan residing on the server at the time belonged to a player called _Blackout_. The members consisted of Blackout himself being the leader of the clan, Overlord, and Catfish 12. Now, Blackout clan and their backstory is something that we cannot properly decipher given the lack of clues and evidence found in the mod itself. There are some hints about what could have happened to them leading up to the clan's demise, but not nearly as well documented as the likes of Ram to Die's clan. Now that we've established our two main factions, let's take a look at the timeline of events documented from beginning to end. At an unknown date, both Ram to Die and Blackout formed their own clans and started playing on this server. The details of their rivalry are not known, only that they both existed on the server at the same time. February 2, 2018. Player Ram to Die, or at the time, Null Void, documented that after a 2-day break, he noticed a strange structure appeared in the enchantment room. The structure seemed to resemble an altar, but the strangest part was not the structure itself, but the block that was found within the structure, called Protected Void. As seen in the game files, Protected Void is obviously not in vanilla Minecraft, and is also indestructible, much like Bedrock. Eventually, he chalked it up to it just being an admin trolling them. One thing I'd like to point out is that Null Void claims that an admin had maybe trolled the clan. This implies that the SMP they were playing on could be part of a bigger, more organized community of players. The whereabouts of this community are, as of now, unknown. February 3, 2018. Null Void documented the structure once again, claiming that it had made a weird noise and that viewing it caused his game to lag a bit. He also pointed out that any mob that got close to the altar would despawn, calling it a potential plugin. February 4, 2018. Null Void stated that it was time for him and the rest of the members to build a base because, and I quote, the clan must grow. This base is presumed to be the clan_build structure that can spawn in the player's world pretty early on in the playthrough. August 4, 2018. A few months have passed and we shift our attention to the rival clan for a moment, as on this day, player Blackout had seemingly vanished without a trace. A player asked about his disappearance but received no answer. October 1st, 2018. An unknown person rented a room in Ram to Die's clan building. It's not known who this person was, and I couldn't figure out based on the signs they placed and how they wrote in their sentences, but we can safely presume it's one of the entities haunting the server. October 4, 2018. On this day, Ramtadai's clan members joined the server to find someone they had not previously seen before, a player by the name XX Ramtadai XX. It's later revealed that the player is Null Void, but that he just changed his nickname. October 14th, 2018, the tenant moves out of Ramtadai's clan base, stating that he is on his way to build his own base, but the events only get stranger from here. November 1st, 2018. This date marks the beginning of the end for the clan and server as a whole, as on this day, an entity appeared called the Broken End, one of 3 void entities, Broken End being one of the most dangerous entities out of the 3.
Bro, this guy goofy as hell.
Due to the appearance of the Broken End, the chat messages began to fail. Ramtadai's clan members noticed the glitch and communicated through signs. What's also worth noting is that their Discord server was also lost in the process. This proves that the entity has endless control over not only their own server, but also individual applications on their PCs, as well as we will later discover, over their real-world lives too. November 2nd, 2018. Ramtadai's clan ran out of oak wood, and Wire 4 wrote on a sign asking members to get more wood. Ramtadai himself offered he would go out and gather wood, and this would turn out to be the last thing he does. November 4, 2018. After Ramtadai entered the woods to get oak logs, he was ambushed and killed by Broken End, the events of which are recorded on the Recording 15 disc. The following audio is a recording of Ramtadai's final moments. By listening to the audio and knowing how he disappeared afterwards, it's not a far-fetched idea to suggest that Ramtadai not only died in the server, but was also fatally injured in the real world, proof of which can be seen directly in-game, as his soul is fragmented in multiple pieces in the mod. One of his souls takes the form of Null, who joins your world after day 1, and the other is an entity directly called XX Ramtadai XX. This further implies that Broken End crawled out of his computer and, like many others, ripped him apart in real life. On the day of his death, Ramtadai was only 14 years of age. August 4, 2019. Some time has passed since the death of Ramtadai, and we are brought back to the Blackout clan. One of the clan members found a block of protected void and used pistons to get it back to their base. No one knew what the block was, and they simply left it at that, implying they had not seen or known about the existence of Broken End or Circuit or other void creatures, but this was all about to come crashing down. September 6, 2019. Out of nowhere, a player who is presumed to be Ramtadai appears at the clan base after months of absence. This, however, is not Ramtadai. This is Circuit pretending to be the player. When clan members asked about his whereabouts, he responds saying that he had to deal with family stuff. This raises a disturbing theory. However, we know that void creatures can exist outside the game world and even murder players in their own houses. Is Circuit using family troubles as just a way of explaining his absence, in a way that would almost guarantee the other clan members understanding why he was away for so long? Or is it his way of saying he also murdered Ramtadai's family? Remember, this was a 14-year-old kid. He most definitely lived with his parents, and his death, like many others, wasn't a quiet occurrence. It's very likely his parents were alerted to the commotion and went to check on their kid, but what happened to them is something that we'll never know for sure. It is at this point where the timeline becomes unclear, therefore further events are not linked to specific dates, But there are some events that, even without dates, are important to the story. One of which is the corruption of a Ram to Die clan member, DieXD412. At an unknown time, DieXD is seen standing in front of the jukebox playing Disc 13 on loop. When Wire4 asked him about this occurrence, he did not respond. After a while, DieXD became increasingly corrupted, eventually resulting in his transformation to becoming the Curved entity. We can assume that, like many others, he was also killed in the real world, although his encounter with a void entity or murder is not documented, so we can't be sure. It is possible that maybe the void creatures can influence players without killing them directly, leading to the same result, their souls being stuck in the server forever. At this point, all of Ram to Die clan members have died or have been corrupted, except for one person. On the roof of the new clan base structure, we can see a conversation unfold between who we can presume to be Wire4 and a void entity, most likely Circuit. Wire4 was the only clan member who witnessed and stood up to the void entity. However, his fate remains unknown. There are some theories, however, about his whereabouts. One of them is that Wire4 became a faraway, these glowing white guys who watch from a distance and are not hostile. However, I don't think this is the case due to the fact that multiple faraways can spawn at the same time. The broken script can be strict sometimes about certain entity spawn conditions, so I doubt this is just the spawn system not working properly. However, a more interesting theory, and the one that I personally believe in, is the We Are Wire4 theory. This theory is present on the Broken Script wiki, and I quote, "This theory speculates that we, the player, play as Wire4, somehow trying to salvage his friend's souls, or at least put them to peace. People connected to the fact that the Broken Script is supposed to take place in a multiplayer server, with chunks of it being restored at random. It would make sense that only Wire4 would know the IP address of said server, but we can't know for certain." At an unknown date and time, a member of Blackout Clan, Catfish 12, was mining when an event known as Moon Glitch appeared in their world. Shortly afterwards, Integrity appeared in Catfish 12's real home, opened his door, and brutally killed him, all of which can be heard in the disc12.newlife.ogg sound file. We can hear the in-game sound effects and real-world sounds simultaneously. What also makes this interesting is a video that Wendigo Drip put out on his YouTube channel simply called 1. In the video, we can see shots of a Minecraft world with ominous music playing underneath. However, if we turn subtitles on, we can see that the caption spell "help me." It is known that this video is somehow linked to the death of Catfish 12, so we can assume that he's the one asking for help, his soul trapped in the server. Before we conclude our chapter on the lore, I would like to bring up one last thing relating to the timeline and lore of the Broken Script, and that's a player called Revukor, a player that is directly tied to the Circuit murders, but there are no leads or any information about him whatsoever. Even as an entity, he has a very specific and rare way of spawning. All we can theorize is that Revukor was a player on this SMP, most likely not affiliated with Ram to Die or Blackout Clan. Yet Null, who is a fragment of Ram to Die's soul as we know, knows him. When you ask about him in chat, all he responds with is "poor soul," meaning he does know about his death and potentially him as a person. In any case, Revukor was in his home when Circuit escaped through his computer and brutally killed him and trapped him in the server. His entity and soul are in the Broken Script, and most people won't even encounter him on an average playthrough. He is a player that remains a total mystery. That section took a lot of time, but let's take it back for a second and discuss the entities. I know I've brought a couple of them up already, however there are still so many entities still waiting to be discovered, so let's do just that. By the way, capturing footage of these entities is incredibly tedious since they don't listen to summon commands most of the time, which is a pain in the ass, but we'll have to work with what we have. But let's get into it. There are several categories where we can split the entities into. First category are the souls, or in this case, just soul. Souls are players or entities in general that have retained their consciousness after their transformation. There is only one entity suitable for that category, and that's Null himself. I would like to remind you once again that XX Ram to Die XX and Null are the same person. They are two separate entities, but are a part of the same soul, which has been fragmented after his death. Null can behave erratic and can be downright aggressive, but can also chat with the player. He is also completely conscious about everything happening and knows about everything happening around him. The second category are the entities. Entities are comprised of mostly players, some of which have been murdered while others have been unconfirmed as to how their souls got stuck in the broken script. Some of these are in the lore of the mod, whilst others are just kinda there, waiting to be found. The first entity is R2. R2 is a silhouette of a humanoid. This is interesting because most human players are shown as the Steve model, just with different skins. The fact that we have what looks to be an actual human silhouette raises a lot of questions. I think that these players are more so ghosts in the machine, rather than being actual humanoids. They are capable of killing the player, and even crashing their game, but that's about it. They aren't even hostile most of the time unless you get close. They mostly just sit and observe. I consider them as an apparition than anything, and only Lord knows how they ended up like this. The next entity is Hetzer. Lord knows what the fuck this thing is. Hetzer is an entity whose spawns are random, glitches out a lot, plays false subwoofer lullaby, sets the time to midnight, and spawns circuit. I'm not sure if even the creator of the mod knows what this godforsaken thing is. Nevertheless, it's not friendly, and can be controlling or is a messenger for the void creatures, as once it sees you, it's only a matter of time before circuit spawns and kills you. But Hetzer is not a void creature itself, it's definitely a product of the server's corruption. Maybe when the Broken Script 2.0 comes out, we'll actually get more answers. The next entity is Faraway. Not much can be said about Faraway. It's a glowing white humanoid entity that mostly spawns at night and watches you from afar. It doesn't have any hostile properties at all, and will only jump scare you if you get close. As a matter of fact, it's the only entity that won't harm, kick, ban the player. I heard they will move closer to you if you're not staring at them, but I've never seen this happen. The next entity is No Texture. I feel like a broken record saying this, but once again, there's fuck all known about this entity, and this seems to be a pattern for most entities in the Broken Script. All we can do is document their behaviors and theorize based on what we know for certain, that being the lore primarily. And whilst we don't know where No Texture came from, he does many things like being an asshole and attacking the player, replacing blocks with No Texture blocks. But what's interesting is also giving the player a No Texture item. When interacted with, it does absolutely nothing. However, these items can be seen all over the Ram to Die clan base. This can lead to two explanations. One, that No Texture is maybe one of the clan members, potentially Wire 4, though there is no evidence to back this theory up. Or a much more simple explanation is that No Texture may be explored or was present in the base after the server drowned in chaos. The next entity is the Curved. By now we know that the Curved is DieXD 412. Listening to Disc 13 on loop corrupted him and turned him into whatever he is now. He can be seen twitching and teleporting violently. What makes this entity interesting is that it is possible to kill the Curved, and looking at his drop pool we can potentially see something interesting. Now, I'm going to admit, this might be me actually schizo-posting, but I thought I would look into this anyway. If we take his drop pool and take the first letter of everything he can drop, we get 3 S's, 2 D's, 3 O's, 2 R's, 1 I, 1 C. Some possible words from these letters are Discord, chords, doors. Make of that whatever you will. It could be nothing, but I wouldn't be talking about it if I thought it was nothing. The next entity is Nothing is Watching. What the fuck is that? The next entity is Revukor. Revukor, the most infamous mystery in my opinion, what makes him so special is that there are literal screenshots of a void creature in his house. There is a screenshot of a void creature coming out of his PC specifically. Before you get banned, he will appear behind you for only 1 tick, and yet there's nothing about him mentioned anywhere. He wasn't a part of any clan we know of. We don't know who he might have gotten in contact with. We don't know how old he was. All we know is that the void creatures got to him too. I hope his character will be expanded upon in the Broken Script 2.0, and if so, I might make a separate video on him alone if we get enough content for him. That's how invested I am in his character. We now move on to the third category, the anomalies. Anomalies are players that have been warped beyond comprehension. There is no theme or behavior pattern for anomalies, they all kind of do their own thing. This is also where coming up with theories for characters was hard as it is. But with the anomalies, it became borderline impossible, with the exception of one. The first anomaly is Herobrine. Yeah, some of you might not have known, but Herobrine is in the mod. His spawn condition is extremely specific, and to even have a chance of him spawning, you need to build a Herobrine shrine, and even then, I, for one, have never seen him in my world. Lore-wise, it's impossible to know for sure who he works for, or what he wants, so we can safely assume his presence is purely just an Easter egg. The next anomaly is Sub-Anomaly 1. Boy, do I have some things to say about this fucking piece of shit. I don't know how he came to be, I don't really care. He can fuck off for all I care. Lore-wise, he was probably an auto-clicker using twat, and that probably crossed the line even for integrity, so they banished his ass to become a bunch of blocks. He doesn't even get his own model. Fuck Sub-Anomaly 1. All my homies hate Sub-Anomaly 1. The next anomaly is Maze Shadow. Maze Shadow on the surface looks like Null himself, but Maze and Null are two separate entities entirely. His origins, like many of the entities outside of the lore, are not known. We can speculate, however, that these might be other players not affected that much by the Void Invasion. This theory holds water as multiple Maze Shadows can spawn at any given time, and they are evasive, not wanting to communicate or even exist near the player at any time. The way I think of them are kind of like the humans from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, forced to suffer at the hands of these void creatures and possibly even other anomalies, whilst they hide in caves and evade the player. The next anomaly is XX Ram to Die XX. Our old friend returns in a different form than what we're used to. Unlike Null, Ram to Die has a spawn condition that you can totally avoid your entire playthrough. If you go into the clan base, you can find what I call the Hello block. Once you take it, place it down, and destroy it, a cross will spawn in its place. After destroying the block, Ram to Die has a chance of spawning in your world, most of the times at night with an eerie cave noise to accompany it. Besides that, we know mostly all there is to know about Ram to Die. I find it interesting how we can actually see him in-game. Moving to our fourth category, Void Creatures. Our first Void entity is Circuit. Circuit is the lowest form of Void creature in their chain of command. However, that doesn't make him any less intimidating and dangerous. He can easily lock your cursor, making it impossible to get out of dodge, and he is much faster than you. What also doesn't help is that he's extremely fast, and can also shapeshift. He can take the form of a villager, pig, creeper, and as we know from the story, even other players, which is why Null blames himself. During a playthrough, you can spot signs of distress from the players trapped in the game, and sometimes they send messages like, "We hate you, Ram to Die," and so on. This implies that perhaps the players didn't know or still don't know that Null was being controlled. Obviously, Null didn't mean any harm. It was Circuit and the other void creatures that caused the downfall of the server. Also, Circuit is very loud. I mean, this guy just won't shut up sometimes. Hold on, someone's at the door. Can I help you?
Yo, I was in the neighborhood when I was walking by, and I heard you was talking some mad shit behind my back.
Yo, get your raggedy diamond head ass off my fucking property before I call the police on your bitch ass. The next void entity is Integrity. Integrity is basically the main reason this mod exists and why everyone is currently suffering in a random Minecraft server. At an unknown date and time, potentially even during the alpha versions of the game, Integrity broke through the bedrock and waited patiently for players to join the world. One specific world out of billions of worlds. How unlucky can a few players get? Pretty unlucky, it seems. The next void entity is the Broken End. Broken End is considered the highest form of void entity we know of, capable of killing and dragging players into the world, and also causing in-game bugs and glitches to occur like the Minecraft.chat engine bug that the players reported, causing them to use signs instead to communicate. To summarize, the Broken Script is filled with mysteries and characters that are oozing with lore, even if we don't know everything about them. I know at this point you might think that I clickbaited you since we only kinda solved the Broken Script, but look, after gathering all the evidence we did, what I'm showing in this video is the absolute best I could get to solving this mod. Sadly, there is so much information missing, it's impossible to solve the mod definitively. However, I hope with my theories that we got pretty close. But once the Broken Script 2.0 comes out, you can bet I'll make a separate video on that. And hopefully then we will connect the dots more than we could as of now.